Hello everybody and welcome to a new Ukraine war update. Today we will be taking a look at video footage that has surfaced over the past week, so let's get right into it. The first clip I want to discuss with you today shows the second instance of footage captured from a camera strapped to the turret of a Leopard 2 tank on the Zaporizhia front. The clip is quite short and depicts the Leopard evading an explosion that occurs right in front of it. Russian drone footage, also from the Zaporizhia region, captures a platoon of Ukrainian Bradley infantry fighting vehicles during one of Ukraine's numerous mechanized assaults in that area. According to the source, one Bradley was struck by a mine, while a second was targeted by anti-tank guided missile fire. Similar to the Leopard 2 clip, this video has recently surfaced. However, this doesn't necessarily imply that both videos were filmed at the end of July or early August. It's also possible that these scenes were filmed during earlier attacks that we have already witnessed before. As mentioned multiple times, both sides have a tendency to withhold footage for operational security as well as for propaganda purposes. It often happens that footage from successful operations is released in many small segments from various angles over an extended period of time, creating the impression of a continuous and consistent success of the own side. As you could observe, the Bradley crew was able to escape, once again demonstrating the vehicle's robustness. Here we have a view of a damaged Bradley. Designing weapons for survivability is a comprehensive approach that considers the well-being of military personnel, the ability to accomplish missions, and the need for efficient use of resources in the face of complex and dynamic threats. Not only is the crew's life preserved, but also the experience they gather during such operations. This video is a quite interesting one. It shows Russian paratroopers utilizing a small buggy armed with a cornered anti-tank guided missile launcher to target a Ukrainian observation post on the right bank of the Dnipro River. While the mobility of the buggy certainly enhances the effectiveness of the anti-tank guided missile team, its use is better suited for the discrete engagement of pre-identified static point targets rather than direct confrontation. Here is a similar approach in which an automatic grenade launcher was attached to an ATV to combine the firepower of the grenade launcher with the mobility of the ATV. In this case, this approach is also primarily usable for quick, short fire support and harassment fire. Both vehicles simply do not provide enough protection, but they can function as supporting elements under specific circumstances. In this clip, we can see the Ukrainian 10th Separate Mountain Assault Brigade reportedly shooting down a Russian Lancet drone. Honestly, I do not know which weapon they use for this. Perhaps someone among you knows. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Let's cast our eyes to the sky for a little longer, as it was also reported that fighters from the Ukrainian 93rd Mechanized Brigade shot down a Russian two-seater jet over Ukraine. The video only depicted the unspecified plane plummeting to the ground, and later two parachutes could be seen. Due to the presence of two seats, the plane could have been a variant of the Sukhoi Su-30, Su-34 or the Mikoyan MiG-29 or MiG-31. If you found the video interesting so far, you would greatly assist me by sharing it and giving it a thumbs up. This action helps the video reach a wider audience, which in turn motivates me to create more content like this. As you can imagine, crafting these videos can be quite time consuming, as I meticulously review each shown video. Here, we witness what appears to be a Russian BTR encountering Ukrainian cluster munitions on the southern front. The BTR's armor is relatively thin when compared to other armored vehicles, so this was definitely a harrowing situation for the crew. Russian troops conducted an attack in the direction of Krasny Lyman in the Luhansk region. A column of Russian vehicles can be seen advancing beside a wood line while engaging Ukrainian positions to their left. According to Ukraine, all attacks in the area have been repelled so far. The video does not show much besides the advancing Russian vehicles, and cuts right during the action. Interesting that same like the Ukrainians from the video before they used a column formation during this attack. What do you think about column formations with narrow spacing? I am eager to hear your opinion on this. Let me know in the comments. The trees began speaking Ukrainian in this video clip, which dates back to spring 2023 but has only recently surfaced. The video portrays Ukrainian soldiers launching a javelin missile from a tree at an unspecified Russian target. Although the soldier's position is quite exposed, it remains intriguing to observe how they utilize the tree as elevated position to target the Russians. The backstory of this video here has already made headlines in the media a few days ago when a Ukrainian high-mobility artillery rocket system took out a large number of Russian soldiers in the Kherson region. This video captures the event and was released before the story went viral. The events were observed by a Ukrainian drone that recorded everything from a distance after receiving information about the Russian troop gathering from an unspecified source on the ground within Russian-held territory. According to the Kiev Post, the Russians gathered at a training camp on Dzharilhech Island in the occupied Kherson region. Ukrainian and Western media reported that Russia lost 200 men in total here, but this number is unconfirmed. From the footage, it appears to be more like a company-sized element, so a realistic estimate would be around 100. It strongly appears that the Russian officers in charge here were not aware of the fact that their men, who had assembled openly on the island, were within the range of Ukrainian rockets. While we can discuss the numbers, we have to admit that this was a significant blow to the Russian forces. This short social media clip filmed by Ukrainian soldiers in the trunk of a Humvee shows a Russian FPV drone landing shortly behind them in an undisclosed location. According to the source, the Humvee was targeted as it was evacuating Ukrainian soldiers that got WIA. As always, Ukraine has also released numerous FPV drone videos, and here are two that show Russian BMP-3 vehicles being targeted. One is particularly intriguing as the sides were reinforced with improvised wooden armor. However, this did not provide protection, as the strike was aimed at the rear of the turret. Also, from the entire setup, it appears that the vehicle had already been abandoned. This video depicts the destruction of yet another Russian bug anti-air system by Ukrainian forces. A missile is seen being launched and bouncing across the ground before coming to a halt in the field where the bug was targeted. It's unclear whether the system was destroyed while launching the missile, or if the missile was launched due to a cook-off. Nonetheless, the footage is quite interesting. I would bet on the cook-off, however. Ukrainian troops also released footage of the destruction of what looks like a Russian multiple rocket launcher system by a precise strike. The MLRS tried to conceal itself inside a tree line when the strike occurred. Two hits with one explosion can be seen. Both sides continue to engage in costly attrition warfare, aiming to gradually weaken the enemy front line to the point of eventual collapse. To achieve this, they heavily utilize artillery, such as this Ukrainian Grad striking Russian positions in the northeast of Ploshenka and the Luhansk region. Recently, there have been reports of Ukraine shifting away from NATO tactics and reverting to smaller, piece-by-piece tactics involving artillery and small units for assaults, as I've previously mentioned in earlier Ukraine war updates. However, Ukrainian forces also continue to employ more unconventional methods of attack. They have conducted a series of aerial and naval drone strikes against Russian logistics and port infrastructure in occupied Crimea. This video of an Ukrainian unmanned naval vessel shows such an attack on a Russian Oligorsky Gornyak Ropacha-class landing ship. During this attack, the ship was damaged, but the full extent of the damage is not yet known. Video footage released after the attack shows a Russian vessel towing the landing ship to the Novorossiysk port. Russian sources claimed that the damage was not critical and that the ship would be operational after an unspecified time of repair, but this can also not be confirmed from the footage alone. This was not the first attack of this kind, and Ukraine has already launched a number of such attacks. In general, however, I believe the interception rate of those small drone boats is quite high, and they need to be launched in large quantity for maximum effect. Let's remain in the maritime context for a while longer, because here we have what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. This is a Ukrainian Polos M16 combat kayak equipped with a 40mm grenade launcher. I must admit, I'm not entirely sure how they intend to employ this, but it's certainly intriguing. The main problem with this is basically its low speed and poor protection. Once the kayak gets spotted after firing, it is basically over, since quickly evading enemy fire or FPV drones is nearly close to impossible. The source also stated that they are currently still testing this concept, so perhaps it will never be used in combat. In the last Ukraine war update, I stated that Russia claimed they have captured a CV-90 combat vehicle, and well, it seems like this can be confirmed now, since the Russian Ministry of Defense released footage of the Russian defense minister himself inspecting the vehicle. Russia says that a drawback of the CV-90 is its low firing rate, since it is only loaded with magazines that hold 8 rounds. After this, reloading is required, what can take quite some time. Also, they pointed out the Swedish armored vehicles supplied to Ukraine lack guided weaponry and have low survivability due to their high profile. What do you think about these statements? Now, I would like to discuss a series of Ukrainian helmet cam videos, as there have been quite a few released recently. The first one is from the Svatov direction in Luhansk Oblast. It shows Ukrainian soldiers in contact with Russian forces in a wooded area near T-Verdiklebov. We haven't seen much Ukrainian helmet cam footage from this front line far up north for some time, which, in my opinion, makes it worth sharing. Also, I find it worth noting that there is a lack of frequent Russian released helmet cam videos currently. The last longer one was released a few months ago, and since then there have not been any besides short releases by the Russian Ministry of Defense that not really showed much. It has been reported that Russia lost 10 men in this engagement, but I can only confirm one from what I have seen. That does not mean that there were not more, but it simply cannot be confirmed from this video. The video quality is also not the best, but I think we all see that that was nasty terrain they fought in. Woods can amplify sounds, making it harder to discern the direction of gunfire, and other movements. This can create confusion and hinder communication among troops. They can also restrict the use of heavy weapons and vehicles, limiting the support available to engaged forces. Furthermore, the confined and obscured environment of woods can create psychological stress, potentially affecting decision-making and performance, since dense foliage and trees in wooded areas can severely limit visibility, making it difficult to spot and accurately engage enemy forces. On the contrary, engagements in open terrain, as seen in this video from Zaporizhia, are quite different. Here we see Ukrainian soldiers advancing closely beside a Ukrainian tank equipped with a mine-clearing kit while targeted by Russian artillery fire. We haven't seen much ground footage from the Zaporizhia offensive, but this video showcases the struggle Ukrainian soldiers faced during their breakthrough attempts. It is claimed by Russia that these scenes come from a leaked helmet camera and show a failed Ukrainian assault. So far I only have seen this video on pro-Russian Telegram channels, but a quite similar helmet cam video that will follow now from a slightly different location has been released on Ukrainian channels as well. Engagements in open terrain pose substantial challenges due to the absence of natural cover and concealment, leaving soldiers exposed to enemy fire. The increased visibility, longer lines of sight, and minimal obstacles make it easier for both sides to spot each other. Without natural cover, soldiers, especially the ones on the offensive, are more vulnerable to artillery strikes, airstrikes, and long-range fire. This clip from the 15th Operational Karadag Brigade shows a Ukrainian assault in the Orikhiv direction. The terrain is slightly different with two distinctive tree lines on each side of the Ukrainians, but all in all the video footage is quite similar. I do not know if it's from the same assault, but here we also can see a Ukrainian tank with mine-clearing kit and the Ukrainian soldiers taking cover in what looks like a crater. I believe the scenes illustrate quite effectively the challenges of executing such an operation without possessing complete fire superiority and air support on your side. Fire superiority involves having greater firepower than the enemy. This helps suppress their defenses, keeping their heads down and limiting their ability to return effective fire. It allows attacking forces to advance with reduced risk. Air support, through airstrikes or close air support, can neutralize enemy positions, fortifications, and vehicles. This creates openings in the defense and weakens the enemy's ability to counter the offensive. While air support is not an absolute guarantee of success, especially when effective enemy air defense is in place, it should still be considered a necessity for such operations. A third video from the ground offensive has also been released. All in all, this adds up to quite a bit of footage from the ground. In that third clip, we observe a column of Ukrainian International Max Pro mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles and dismounted Ukrainian infantry fighting their way towards the Russian-held lines. It seems that the Russian positions were quite close to them, located inside the tree line, as they were firing into it without a clear line of sight. At least, the angle of the cameraman gives that impression. From this video, it also looks like that they are struggling to gain total fire superiority, although the video is too short to confirm this for sure. Also, perhaps they only encountered a small Russian entrenchment and not more amount of fire was needed. However, we have to wait and see if more videos from this helmet cam will surface online soon. Right now the footage simply does not provide enough information. If you've been watching up until now, I want to thank you once again for your interest in what I have to share and show. In an era of extensive consumption of short, contextless content, this is not something to be taken for granted, and I highly appreciate that. I also hope that you appreciate my efforts as well. If you are interested in more Ukraine war updates, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell and enable all notifications for this channel. That way you won't miss any further Ukraine war updates. There are a few more videos I wanted to discuss with you today, so here we have another helmet cam video from the infamous Ukrainian 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. Again, the soldiers do what they were trained for, namely assaulting Russian positions. In the video they clear a number of Russian fighting holes in a wooded area south of Bakhmut. According to Ukrainian officials, they reportedly advanced again in that area, and I think this can be accurate since they are making slow but steady progress there for some months now. Additionally, Russian sources also said that Ukrainian forces captured an unspecified height near Klishchivka. This footage, however, cannot be confirmed to be from this report. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Malia reported on August 1st that in the past week, Ukrainian forces captured 2 square kilometers of territory in the Bakhmut direction and 12 square kilometers in southern Ukraine. Here we see a Ukrainian soldier enjoying a pizza while riding inside a BTR-4. I somehow really like this clip and wish I could share more like this instead of all the fighting. The last video for today is from the Belgorod region and displays a Ukrainian FPV drone targeting a Russian surveillance complex in Poros, Russia. I find this video to be a rather accurate depiction of the current state of the war, not only due to the prevalence of drone warfare, but also because of the essence of this specific attack. You can observe the drone bouncing off the tower multiple multiple times before ultimately making an impact, symbolizing the nature of this conflict. It involves a substantial amount of trial and error, with numerous setbacks and advancements until a definitive objective is achieved, a dynamic that applies to both sides involved. That's it for this Ukraine war update. Thank you very much for watching. I am truly touched by all the positive feedback I have received so far and can't express my gratitude enough. As always, any tactical likes and comments for the algorithm are greatly appreciated, and I'm delighted to welcome every new subscriber. Just remember to hit the bell and enable notifications, as otherwise my uploads might not be visible to you. I hope you found something informative in this video. I've provided links to several other Ukraine war updates here if you're interested in checking them out. Additionally, if you enjoy my work and would like to support me further, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Thanks again, and until next time.